A geyser in Nevada has been erupting continuously since 1964. It was created by accident. Nobody intended it to exist. 10 places like this exist in North America right now. Most people who live here have never heard of them. Today we cover all 10. By the end, you will be questioning how well you actually know the continent you live on. The Wave, Arizona. In northern Arizona, inside the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument sits a sandstone formation carved by wind and water over 190 million years. The layers of red, orange, and cream swirl in patterns that look like a painting. They are completely natural. The colors are not painted or enhanced. They come from different mineral compositions in each layer of rock deposited over millions of years. Each stripe represents a different geological era. Some of these layers were formed before dinosaurs existed. The Bureau of Land Management limits access to exactly 64 people per day. You can only get a permit through a lottery. In peak season, tens of thousands apply for those 64 spots. The reason access is limited is not bureaucracy. It is because the rock is so fragile that too many footsteps in the wrong place would permanently destroy formations that took 190 million years to create. Most people who want to see the wave never will. The lottery exists because demand is that far beyond what the land can absorb. Fly Geyser, Nevada. In 1964, a geothermal drilling company accidentally hit a pressurized aquifer in Nevada's Black Rock Desert. They capped it and moved on. The pressure found a way through anyway. What grew from that mistake over the next 60 years is Fly Geyser, a continuously erupting mound of mineral deposits 1.5 meters tall that changes color with the seasons. Red, green, orange. It depends on the algae growing on the mineral surface. The water temperature is around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The geyser has been building itself taller every single year since 1964. It sits on private property in the middle of the Nevada desert. It is visible from the road. Most people who drive past have no idea what they are looking at. It looks like it is from Mars. It is from Nevada. If you want to see the other 8, subscribe. Now we find what the travel brochures miss. Antelope Canyon, Arizona, a slot canyon carved entirely by flash floods over thousands of years. What looks like sculpture is erosion. The water did not carve straight down. It spiraled. That is why the walls curve the way they do. The light beams you have seen in photographs are real. They happen at solar noon in summer, when the sun is directly overhead and shafts of light drop straight down into the narrow opening above. Photographers plan their trips months in advance to catch the exact angle at the exact time of day. Miss the window by an hour, and the light is gone. The canyon is so narrow in places that you walk through it sideways. In some sections, 2 people cannot pass each other. The walls have been smoothed by centuries of water and sand into surfaces that look human-carved. They are not. No human tool made these shapes. Water and time did. Lake McDonald, Montana Glacier National Park, Montana. Lake McDonald sits in a valley carved by glaciers over millions of years. The water is crystal clear because glacial lakes filter sediment in ways that other lakes cannot. Look down and the lake bed is covered in perfectly smooth, multicolored stones. Red, purple, green, blue, orange, every color right under the surface. The colors come from specific mineral content. Iron produces the reds. Manganese produces the purples. The particular chemistry of this glacial environment creates conditions found almost nowhere else on Earth. The stones are smooth because they have been tumbled by glacial meltwater for thousands of years. In person, the lake bed looks like someone arranged the stones deliberately. Nobody did. It photographs exactly like you have seen. In person, it looks even less real. The Badlands, South Dakota Drive west from Rapid City, South Dakota. For miles, the landscape is flat grassland in every direction. Then, at a certain point, the ground simply breaks open. Jagged rock formations in yellows, reds, and whites rise from the prairie without warning. There is no gradual transition. The Badlands begin suddenly. The formations are made of eroded volcanic ash and sediment deposited here between 28 and 37 million years ago, when this region was covered by ancient seas and river systems. The rock erodes at roughly 1 inch per year, which is extraordinarily fast by geological standards. This means the Badlands are constantly changing. The formations you see today did not exist 5,000,000 years ago. In another 5,000,000 years, they will be gone entirely. You are seeing a landscape in the middle of disappearing. The fossils embedded in these formations include ancient horses, camels, and saber-toothed cats. Most have never been excavated. Spotted Lake, British Columbia, Okanagan Valley, British Columbia. In summer, when the water evaporates, Spotted Lake reveals itself. Dozens of circular pools of different colors appear across the lake surface. Yellow, blue, green, white. Each pool is chemically distinct. Each has a different concentration of minerals left behind as the water recedes. Magnesium sulfate, calcium, sodium sulfate, silver, titanium. The specific combination in each pool determines its color. In a wet year, the pools are smaller. In a dry year, they expand. No two summers look exactly the same. The Silks Okanagan Nation has considered this lake sacred for thousands of years. During World War I, minerals were harvested from the lake bed for ammunition production. The land is now privately owned. You view it from the road. The site is unmistakable and changes every time you visit. Craters of the Moon, Idaho, Central Idaho, and 180,000 square kilometer lava field sitting in the middle of what is otherwise normal American landscape. The most recent eruptions were about 2,000 years ago, which in geological terms means this field is essentially still active. NASA sent Apollo astronauts here before the moon landings, specifically to prepare them for what they might find on the lunar surface. The terrain is that similar. Black volcanic rock stretches in every direction. Cinder cones rise from the flat lava field. Lava tubes run underground that you can physically walk through. The tubes formed when the outer surface of lava flows cooled and hardened, while molten rock continued flowing underneath. When the flow stopped, the tubes remained. Vegetation tries to grow between the lava flows. It mostly fails. What does grow has adapted in unusual ways to the extreme conditions. Craters of the Moon looks exactly like what it is named after. Mono Lake, California, on the eastern edge of the Sierra Nevada, sits a body of water unlike any other in North America. Mono Lake is 2 to 3 times saltier than the ocean and has a pH level similar to baking soda. Almost nothing survives in it, except brine shrimp and alkali flies, which have evolved specifically for these conditions. Rising from the water are limestone tufa towers. These towers formed underwater over thousands of years when freshwater springs bubbled up through the alkaline lake water and a chemical reaction created calcium carbonate deposits. The towers grew slowly for millennia, completely submerged. In the 1940s, the city of Los Angeles began diverting the streams feeding Mono Lake to supply drinking water to the city. The lake level dropped dramatically. As it dropped, the tufa towers emerged above the surface for the first time. The towers you see today were never meant to be seen. They built themselves underwater and the lake receded to reveal them. Court orders in the 1990s partially restored the water supply. The lake is recovering slowly. The towers remain. Bryce Canyon, Utah. Bryce Canyon is not actually a canyon. It is a series of natural amphitheaters carved by frost and erosion along the edge of the Paunsaugunt Plateau. The distinction matters because the process that created it is different from canyon formation. Frost weathering is the primary force here. Water seeps into cracks in the rock. It freezes at night and expands. Over thousands of years, this expansion breaks the rock apart with extraordinary precision. What you get are hoodoos. Tall, thin rock spires in orange, red, and white standing in clusters across the amphitheater floor. Bryce Canyon has the highest concentration of hoodoos anywhere on Earth. At sunrise, the angle of light turns the entire amphitheater orange. The contrast between the white snow in winter and the red-orange rock makes the photographs look digitally altered. They are not. In winter, the hoodoos wear caps of snow while the red rock glows underneath. There is no other landscape on Earth that looks like this. Marble Canyon, Arizona. In northern Arizona, the Colorado River has spent millions of years cutting through layers of Permian limestone. What it created is Marble Canyon. The walls are not marble. They are polished limestone that reflects light the way marble does. The name came from explorer John Wesley Powell, who led the first documented expedition through in 1869. Powell named it for what the walls looked like in the light. The canyon is up to 900 meters deep in sections, and in some places barely wide enough for a small boat to pass through. The walls display 250 million years of geological history in their layers. Each horizontal band represents a different era. You can trace the history of this region from the age of ancient seas to the age of dinosaurs simply by looking at the wall next to you. At certain points in the canyon, you are surrounded by rock that was deposited before complex life existed on land. You can see time. Most people who visit the Grand Canyon never see Marble Canyon. It sits just upstream and is far less visited. The solitude and the geology are both more extreme. 10 places, all inside North America, all real. The continent most of you live on is still showing new faces. Comment below which one you are going to visit first. Subscribe now. We find what the travel brochures miss.